One of the most important things about any project is, of course, figuring out why you're doing it. E-cards is always a curious one because attorneys actually pay attention to it in a way they don't pay attention to everything else. But like any other project, you really do need to have some sort of strategy or objective behind it. The only other objective that I've ever seen is that of a data cleanse, which kind of fits nicely into this group. Because it's probably one of the few times in the year when you are sending out to all, if not, the vast majority of the database. And of course, if you're using systems that capture, bounce backs and allow opt-outs and things like that, it can be a nice way to do that if you do need that kind of slightly more business or business case behind it. There's another way of personalizing as well, which kind of is a hybrid between the central send and the more personalized send, which is doing a massive mail merge with personalized messages and things like that. We've done something similar in the past where, in the case of interaction, we've had people fill out additional fields in an e-card folder and then merge those additional fields into the e-card. So it kind of achieves that personalized message, gets around the problem that you identified, but at least people's names can appear on it.
Right.
You're right though, it's got to come from one lawyer. There is a danger. If all of your attorneys are sending emails out in the same kind of week, 2 week period, that at the end of the day they're marketing emails, even though they're wishing happy holidays or whatever, multiple times to the same clients or the same companies, etc. If people end up opting out from for a start, you don't have the opt-out process if they're forwarding on directly from their inboxes. Secondly, if they're forwarding on from their inboxes, they're using Outlook or Lotus Notes or whatever, that always is going to throw in its own little piece of code that may look fine when they're sending it, but you don't know what that's necessarily going to do at the other end. And then when it comes to blacklisting, you do run that risk. You ideally do want to separate your marketing emails from your day-to-day communications in terms of the systems that you use. So if your marketing systems, God forbid, got blacklisted, I mean, that's a problem and it needs solving. But your attorneys are still communicating with their clients just fine. The world doesn't grind to a halt. If, on the other hand, they get blacklisted, and if one of them get blacklisted, that's your whole firm blacklisted, by the way.
I've had 3 clients in the last 2 years that did something they shouldn't have done and ended up getting blacklisted, and the way you find out is your lawyers can no longer email those clients business emails at all. It's awful. So that's why there's a lot, and it's getting worse. There's a lot of precautions to make sure that you use an outside service or set up a secondary domain for your marketing communications.
So one of the things about the international rules are, as Chris alluded to, they are so much stricter than here in the US. So Canada's just going through it right now. Hong Kong has just been going through it. There's a list on our website that's about that big with countries that have kind of more of an opt-in process than an opt-out process that we have here. And the thing about a lot of these rules is that it doesn't matter that you're sitting in the US. If you're emailing people in Canada or in these other countries, you need to follow their rules. The biggest thing about a creative e-card is that no matter how good the creative is at the beginning, it can be made less creative once it goes through an approval process. All reference to Christmas obviously shouldn't be there, but down to things like snow may or should or shouldn't be in it, or like a tree, is that sending the wrong message? You got the most creative, awesome idea in the world, and creativity by its very nature is that it's different from what's been done in the past. So you can't have something that falls into line with what's been done in the past and be creative. It's got to be one or the other. You'll go through that. But the big thing is to get the sign-off before you start any animation. If you don't, then you're only going to have a real problem when the animation's done, because animation, unlike a single image, cannot be changed very easily. A single image, you just change the image. But 1,000 frames of animation, there's 1,000 images right there that need changing, so it can be very problematic. So that's the big creative tip, is to start as early as you can and make sure you get sign off up to the highest level that you're going to need it before you start the animation process. Otherwise, you're going to get a bit of a headache later on. When the creative process is going on, a lot of the time the data is left, because you already have all your data stored in your CRM, right? So that tends to get left until the end. So my other big kind of thing that I always used to press like really, really hard was don't wait until the last minute to start organizing your data, because then again you're going to have a big old panic. And you know, inevitably I was ignored, and there would be these great big panics towards the end. So I really do urge you to think about that in plenty of time in advance. Maybe now isn't necessarily the right time to start building the list, but certainly not towards the end of November either. You want to start plenty of time before that, because it's going to need some manipulation and massage, no doubt.
It's all about setting yourselves apart. I know law firms are like, you know, let's do exactly what everybody else is doing, because that's what everybody else is doing. But think about the opportunity to send a Thanksgiving card of how thankful we are that you're a client, or a New Year's card saying, you know, Happy New Year, and we look forward to the opportunity to work with you again together this year. And just, you know, differentiation.